Are you living in denial? Good morning, All Souls Community Church. Today is April the 20th, Tuesday morning. And an odd question to ask, perhaps, but a real one. Are you living in denial? You see, about 2 summers ago, I rolled my ankle. And I rolled it pretty bad. I heard a pop playing basketball. But I went around telling myself the same thing. It's not broken. It's not broken. It's just sprained. It's not broken. I forced myself to walk on it a day later, even though it was swollen, and I was just going to press through. And even though those who are closest to me, who happened to be doctors and nurses, were saying, go get an x-ray, go get an x-ray. Sorry, I didn't listen to you, Joan. I didn't get an x-ray. That is, I didn't get an x-ray for a couple of months. And when I finally did get an x-ray, it was broken. And so what I found was my denial didn't change anything about what was broken in me. All it did was simply delay my healing. Denial delays healing. What we talked about on Sunday, as we're studying through the epistle, the letter of 1 John, is that for the sake of our hearts, our souls, we are oftentimes a people who live in denial. The way John wrote it in his epistle, he says, if we claim we have not sinned, we make God a liar and the truth is not in us. Or the way he puts it in earlier verses, if we claim to have fellowship with God who is light, but then walk in darkness, we deceive ourselves. It's this notion that we so often try to play both sides of the coin. We try to do things God's way, but also our way, right? But what's underneath that, which we tried to unpack some on Sunday, is this reality that we oftentimes think that if we admit, confess is the word, what's broken inside of us, and especially the parts that are most broken, that somehow that's going to disqualify us. Or put it differently, the parts about me that I most hate are oftentimes the things that I reason to myself that God must hate also. Especially those parts, those tendencies, those mistakes, those urges, those feelings, those failures that God very much says in his scriptures, hey, this is sin. This is not the way you were made. This is not how I want you to keep walking, or how I want you to keep feeling, or things that I want you to live into. When those things are true of me, my initial urging, my heart's response is to want to push back and say, I've got to deny that that's even there if I'm going to have God love me. I know that that's a struggle that many of us have on a daily basis, and yet it's a trap. Right? Denial is a trap. It's a trap that guilt and shame set for us, because we think that if I admit this, then God's going to heap the guilt and the shame that I already feel or that I already hear, that he's going to agree. He's going to add his voice to that. And yet what we so gloriously discovered on Sunday is that God is light, and in him there is no darkness at all. That means he's not the one who shames us. He's not the one who guilts us. He's the one whose light exposes truth so that he can make us whole. Or to put it like the Apostle John wrote, if we confess our sin in the light, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sin, get rid of guilt, and cleanse us of all unrighteousness, wash us free of shame. His purpose in actually calling us into relationship with him is not to show us all the things about us that are wrong, but to actually make us wholly the person that we were always intended to be. And the way that he does that is first and foremost by coming to us in love. And in case you missed it on Sunday, one of the things that I think God has been just so pressing into my heart that I want to make sure we get is this reality that the things that we hate most about ourselves, that we think are most broken, are the things that are most obvious in our hearts. And we say, I don't like those things about me. And yet the situation that we find ourselves in before the Lord is actually far worse. We are completely infected with sin. Every area in us, every ounce of our beings is infected. And so when God comes to us, he's not loving this little bit of us that's sinless, but that part that's really sinful, he doesn't love that part. or loving this part over here where we're trying really hard, but this part over here where we're not. He doesn't love that part. No, God comes to us as a complete whole. He says, I love all of you, every last ounce of you, even while you're infected with sin. While we were sinners, Christ died for us. I love all of you, every last part of you. Do you hear it? God says, I love all of you. I'm repeating myself on purpose because I want you to hear, and I want you to begin to believe what I so struggle to believe as well. That even the worst parts of me are still part of me. And until and unless I admit that they're there, if I keep trying to deny that they're there because I'm afraid that God's not going to love me there, then I can never actually start to heal there. I can never address it the way that God calls me to address it. Like with my ankle, I should have been wearing a boot and not walking on it, but instead I was walking on it, injuring myself all the more and delaying my healing, prolonging my pain. And our Father in heaven doesn't want to prolong our pain or delay our healing. He wants to bring it in. The only way that's going to happen is if we look at every part of ourselves, including the parts that we find least desirable or most sinful, and we accept the fact that that's part of us. That's it. That's part of me. I am broken here. I'm broken there. I'm not whole here. I'm not whole there. To accept that and then to be able to come with the God who says, even there I love you. Now let my love make you more whole. That's what we call grace, friends. The only way that we enter into that is as we are. We don't change first and then get grace. We get grace so that by God's power we can change and be wholly the person we were always intended to be. My prayer for us this week and this day is that we will find such sweet freedom in accepting ourselves for who we are, every last bit of ourselves, and hearing God say once again, even there, I love you. Even there, I love you. Thanks be to God. What a great God we have. Spend some time today enjoying him and listening for that voice in those places in your life. Amen. Have a great day, friends.